Hello, my friends. Again, it's Greenland. Donald Trump really wants to take that piece of land under his control. He says it's not about resources, it's not about anything, it's just security that the United States wants to have in the northern part of whatever. Well, actually, Greenland is closer to Canada more than to the United States. Canada, which United States president wants to make 51st state of the United States of America. It will not happen, it's understandable. Canadians will not agree on that. But with Greenland, it's the different story because basically the population is very, very low. It is something around 57,000 people. My hometown, Boryspil, is like that, maybe even bigger, and it's kind of the average town. But Greenland is definitely a huge island covered by snow and ice mostly. But from the strategic perspective, especially if we speak about Arctics, maybe it could play the decisive role. So for Donny, it doesn't matter what locals think. He may just go with his army and capture Greenland. Few of those small towns and Americans, they have their presence in Greenland, I mean military. Here's the message from Donald Trump. I'm pleased to announce that I'm appointing the great governor of Louisiana, Jeff Landry, as the United States Special Envoy to Greenland. Jeff understands how essential Greenland is to our national security and will strongly advance our country's interests for the safety, security and survival of our allies and indeed the world. Congratulations, Jeff. And Jeff already said that he will do everything possible to make Greenland the United States. And this creates total chaos within NATO because Greenland is the part of Denmark. It is not a sovereign country. It has its legislation as the autonomous part of Denmark, but not more than that. They have their own parliament, their own government, but they belong to Denmark still. The main legislation and the government is based in Denmark. The Denmark is the direct ally of the United States of America, NATO ally. So Donald Trump here creates the confrontation between allies. How European Union should react on that some of the other state wants just to grab the territory of their neighbor and the member of the bloc of EU and, as I told you, NATO. Even for Russia, it's not like that. They haven't started the special military operation, as they call it, against the friendly state or the state which goes to the same security alliance. I mean Ukraine, because it is a pro-Western state, because our people decided to join the European Union and NATO also. And later on, Putin had decided to use the full-scale military force. But Donald Trump, I mean United States of America, and administration of the White House, they should protect their allies, not attempt to conquer them, to occupy them. That totally contradicts all of the architecture of security. Simply doesn't exist any longer. Not only I do not protect you against Russian attacks, but I will conquer you. I will take your Greenland. I will take maybe something else, because you are weak and I'm strong. I have lots of the weapons, I have fleet, I have air carriers, and I am building those Trump ships or F-47, how to call it. In the national security doctrine, the United States of America already appointed Europe as close to enemy. They're not saying about Russia as the enemy for the first time, by the way, for decades. They're saying that Europe is not what it was before, it's not a democratic union, Europe should evolve, and everything of that was proclaimed earlier, even before Donny became the President of the United States in Plan 2025. And later on, you might remember the speech of J.D. Vance at the Munich Security Conference, where he openly accused Europe of not being a democratic union, that Europe should change. The idea of United States of America is to collapse European Union. They see Europe as a competitor. They just want to send their corporations to Europe and Europeans to consume everything that is made in America by American corporations. That's it. They want to rule. And how to rule? You need to divide, collapse European Union. And it is better to appoint those far-right politicians elsewhere because they're spiritually closer to Putin, by the way, and to Donald Trump, of course, and to make the deals with every country personally. And this pressure on Europe, it all pretty much started from applying tariffs on friendly states. Trump still hasn't applied tariffs on Russia, 0 tariffs. But Europe, he pushed it very, very hard. European Union also, it showed its weakness. They immediately started to negotiate. They didn't apply counter tariffs on American products. I think it was a mistake, and China really showed that it's better to play this harsh game with Donald Trump and his administration, because Donald Trump, by the way, as Putin, respects only force. If you obey to what he says, he doesn't respect you at all. He will push again and again, stronger and stronger. He's the guy like that. With the Ukrainian peace deal, we see it, we witnessed that initially Donald Trump said that there should be a ceasefire in Ukraine. Now he says, okay, let the war continue, but you should take some of the Russian demands. Later on, he said that you need to capitulate from Donbass. So he pushes quite hard. Ukraine doesn't accept all of the demands, but Trump still continued to push. So it's better to push him back as well. And there, unfortunately, with tariffs, Europe showed its weakness, and Donald Trump now may think that if Europe is that weak, definitely, we may conquer Greenland just like that, our special military operation. We don't care what locals think, we're going to occupy them and establish full control by force, because Donald Trump is all about force. The previous world order after the Second World War is absolutely over. What matters now is nuclear weaponry, because you see those nuclear superpowers or the countries who have large amount of the forces, they may go to your house, take what belongs to you, and they're pretty much okay with that. It's Russia, and we see how America changes for that kind of the state, for aggressor state. Yes, this imperialistic behavior from the current White House administration is unprecedented. It has never been like that. For ages, there was no such a policy coming from the democratic states like USA. But they can do it, actually. Donald Trump may do it. And obviously, Greenland is way easier target than Venezuela. Venezuela has kind of the large army, large population. Greenland, they may take it for the weekend. After Christmas, they may go and take it pretty much easily. And after, it's going to create such a huge crack between allies. It's just crazy. It's unrepairable, could be for decades ahead. And maybe the next administration, they may return the territory back to the European Union and personally to Denmark. Well, you may say that Donald Trump is not really willing to start this operation. Maybe he's just saying about it, that's it. But no, he says about it too much. And there is some special action done. First of all, with the visit of Charlie Kirk and his son to that island. It was right after Donald Trump was elected, and now he appointed this ambassador or envoy to Greenland. So it's not just he is blah, blah, blah. Some actions have been done, and those actions are not okay for alliance unity, for NATO, for security in the world, not just in Europe or USA. Also, even speaking about this possible special military operation, it's the huge downfall for democracy. Because by saying that we need to occupy Greenland for our security interest is a pure justification of the Russian action in Ukraine. They also say like that. Putin says that NATO expands too much and we need to conquer Ukraine because Ukraine wants to have some sort of the biolabs, military bases, and rockets capable to hit Moscow in a matter of minutes. Then de facto it was like that for well before, because NATO countries were already bordering Russia and the time for those missiles to reach Moscow is the same. With that, saying that it's your security interest, you may justify absolutely every sort of the aggression. Hitler was saying that. Then he attacked Poland, he said that, okay, we need this territory for our security interests. Nothing less, nothing more, yeah. This is a very dangerous game that Donald Trump is playing. He wants to divide this world into the spheres of interests. For example, Western Hemisphere should belong to the United States of America. Europe, well, the Western one is a consumer market for the United States and China. Eastern Europe occupied by Russia. China, it's all about Asia. And in this case, no one cares about any sort of the international law, security guarantees, cooperations, agreements. It means absolutely nothing. Only force matters. Force and nuclear weaponry. So it was a huge mistake for Ukraine to give up nukes in 1994. It was very, very terrible. And the current war is the outcome of that very stupid decision done by our politicians without any sort of the referendum. Yeah, it is very, very stupid. And we shouldn't trust any sort of the partners, allies, never ever. It's your security guarantee, so do not give up weapons. Because as we see currently, those countries who force you to give up weapons, nukes, they also force you for capitulation to Russia, for example. Yeah, as Donald Trump says, Ukraine should give up its territory to Russia and everyone will be happy. No, it doesn't work like that. And well, Donald Trump is incompetent. He wants to be a dictator. He's so stupid to become dictator, so it will not happen. But because he is fool, he might do some of the stupid actions, yeah, military actions also. It's gonna be, I hope, temporary, but it's gonna open also the Pandora box, and it will help Russia to justify its aggression in Ukraine. And as I mentioned already, it will create chaos, which might potentially lead to the Third World War. Because after all, the interests of those big superpowers, nuclear countries, China, Russia, United States of America, they will be crossed at some point, at some region, and it's gonna spark a huge confrontation. They might think that they are capable to have deal between each other, but they're so different, and to divide the world into something peaceful with the new spheres of influence, it's impossible, absolutely, without the big war, of course. That's why, guys, I'm quite concerned about Greenland. I'm also concerned about possible special military operation of the United States forces in Venezuela, and they're sending lots of the forces to Costa Rica, closer to their military bases, Caribbean Sea. They also captured several of the oil tankers. I think the day before yesterday they sent dozens of Osprey landing aircraft to Costa Rica, so they might actually try to perform some sort of the limited special military operation, but it's gonna be a big mistake for Trump's administration, first of all, to start it. Judging on how they do and how they fail everything, I think they're also going to fail with Venezuela operation at least, but as I told you, Greenland, they might be successful just because of the very low population in that island. Guys, tell me in the comments whether you like this kind of the format of the video where I just blah to the camera my own thoughts, and whether you support this possible variant scenario, my thoughts, or you have your own opinion. You may write everything down below, but I am very concerned about what is happening, and I see the collapse of the previous world order. It doesn't exist, I would say, any longer. And even Orban, yeah, I'm checking now the news, Orban said that 2025 probably will be the last peaceful year in Europe. The next year a major war could break out in Europe, he said in an interview. If even Orban says like that, and he knows something because he has the access to data, intelligence information, and he speaks with Donald Trump also and Putin, I guess we should expect something really hard. Also Meloni, yeah, she also said that 2026 will be way harder at least than 2025. And I don't see the future perspective for the peace to come to Ukraine. So it's gonna escalate, I guess, and Russia has this opportunity. And then Donald Trump is the president. Donald Trump, who shares the opinion of Putin that you can counter annex country despite what locals think. You just go there with military force. You say that it's for your own security, and that's it. Then you go, continue, escalation, war, big war, doesn't matter. It's your security after all. That's how Russia says. That's how Trump says. That is what scares me, guys. We live in the age of instability. Everything might change very soon. I hope that somehow it's going to be avoided, but I have very tiny little hope left, and I think that the war in Europe is just inevitable. Well, it's happening even now because Ukraine is Europe, but it's going to expand to NATO countries too, and the United States will not protect them. Instead, they will occupy NATO country like Denmark, because Greenland is the part of Denmark. Crazy. Right, guys, it's all what I want to say, and thank you so much for your kind support on Patreon. The link for it is in the video description right below. If you're watching me on YouTube, you may join membership by pressing join button over here. By the way, I also shared those videos on Spotify, so those guys who watch me on Spotify, thank you so much. And also, if you don't have opportunity to support me in any of those financial ways, you may just press like to this video and subscribe for the channel. That's how you boost it in algorithms. So thank you so much for it, guys. I wish you all a peaceful sky wherever you are, and have a great time.